Let's take a quick look around the Vegas Movie Studio HD Platinum user interface so that you can get comfortable with it and so that you know where to go to find the things you need to do while you're editing. Across the top of the screen is a familiar menu bar that you've probably seen in many different Windows applications, and it works just the same here in Vegas Movie Studio. For instance, click the Project menu, and you're presented with a whole host of options in that menu. Some of them are familiar, like New, Open, Close, Save, Save As, and so forth. Some of them are specific to Vegas Movie Studio, like Make Movie, Render As, Import Media, and so forth. But the menu structure itself works just the same as any other application. Just point to the menu, click on it, and then choose the option you want from the menu. Right below the menu bar is the button bar, and this works the same as other Windows applications as well. And many of the same tools that are in the menu bar are also here as buttons in the button bar. So here again we have New, Open, Save, and some others that are specific to Vegas Movie Studio, Snapping and Crossfading, and others. Don't forget about the Show Me How tutorial button. Anytime you want to, you can click the Show Me How tutorial button, and it will open up the Show Me How index where you can go through and choose tutorials for the basics, for importing media, many of the things that you need to know how to do. You can find great tutorials here in the Show Me How index. The next area down is an area we call the window docking area, and this area contains several different windows. By default, the windows that you can see are the Project Media window, and as we move along in the training, you'll see what this window is used for. The Video Preview window, where you'll watch your video as you create it. And all the way to the right here is the Master Bus. And the Master Bus is where you'll monitor and control the volume of the audio in your project. Now we call this the window docking area not because there are 3 windows in it, but because you can put as many windows in here as you want to, and you can move them around and you can reconfigure things. So for instance, if you wanted more room for the Video Preview window, point to the divider between that window and the next window and drag it over, or drag it back if you want to make it smaller. Any of the windows in this area can be resized like that. They can also be pulled out of the window docking area, or they can be layered on top of each other, and by default, you'll see that you have a number of different tabs down here, and each of these tabs represents a window that is underneath the currently visible window. So for instance, the Project Media tab shows that the Project Media window is open, but I can click the Explorer tab to open the Explorer window, or the Transitions tab, the Video Effects tab, and so forth. And we'll talk about several of these windows as we go along in the training. Now, let's say we want the Explorer window and the Project Media window to be visible at the same time. Well, right now we can't do that because one overlays the other. But you can take any of these windows, just using the 6 vertical dots here on the side, grab hold of those dots and pull it off, and you can put that window wherever you want to as a floating window. If you don't want it to be a floating window, you can dock it back in the window docking area, either in its default location or make a new section. So now we have the 2 windows open at the same time in the window docking area, and you can see both of them. Now, if you decide that you like this window configuration and you want to save it for future use, you can save your window configurations. Click the View menu and choose Window Layouts, Save Layout As, give it a name. I'll just call it My Layout. Choose one of the 10 spaces that you can save it to and click OK. The benefit of doing that is that now I can switch back and forth between window layouts. So for instance, if I wanted to get back to my default window layout, I can choose View, Window Layouts, Default, and I'm back to my default. But if I then decide I wanted to go back to my new layout, choose View, Window Layouts, My Layout, and we're back. So it's a very flexible user interface. You can change things around the way you want them and then save those layouts for calling up later. Underneath the window docking area then, you have the main timeline area of the project. This is where you're going to add media to your project and where you're going to edit your project. You can see along the left-hand side that you've got 6 tracks already in your project by default. There are 3 video tracks and 3 audio tracks. And you can see that some of the controls are the same between them. Here's a mute and solo button that are the same between both audio and video. But many of the controls are different. So an audio track has a volume slider and a pan slider and an arm for record button, some other buttons that the video tracks don't have. So that's one way you can easily tell the difference between a video track on your timeline and an audio track on your timeline. So that's a quick look at the user interface. We'll get more into it, obviously, as we start along editing, but that should give you a good idea of what you're looking at and where to start as we move along with the training.